Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I am back with another video for Pretty Pink Posh. This is the edited replay from a live that I did week before last. We are using the igloo shaker, the penguin friends, and the winter trees to do our fun little scene card today. It is a little bit of an unexpected color combination, I think, but they're like such pretty icy colors that I thought that they would work really well together. So we've got all of the pretty colors. We've got a lot of sparkle, a lot of glitter. This is like a winter card that's totally just right up my alley, and coloring. So I am cutting my igloo and my trees out of white. You can cut them out of colored cardstock, but for this particular card, I did ink blending on the igloo and I left my trees white. I actually didn't add any color to them at all because I had that colored sky. So I'm just going to run these through my die cutting machine here. I ended up using 2 of the big trees and 1 of the medium-sized trees. And I didn't use the small one. Here, I'm just trying to show, I know it's a little close. I'm trying to show you the detail that you get on the igloo. So I cut the igloo base twice. I'm going to put then the detail layer on top of the first one that I die cut, and that's going to cut out the windows. And then obviously if you wanted to do this as a shaker, I chose not to today, but I do plan to use it in the future that way. Then that would be where you would be able to see all of the little shaker bits, like through the like little ice cube, which are now ice cube windows that we've created. I'm just going to use it as a scene builder. Several of Pretty Pink Posh's shaker dies can be used in one way or the other. Like you can use them as a shaker or you can just use them as an element, which I really like. So I've chose some pinks, purples, blue violets, blues, teals. I usually, if you have watched my videos in the past, I usually do this shaded lilac, like this blue violet, as the color that I add to my snow. So it isn't just like plain white or gray or, you know, whatever. So I wanted to include that as well, and I added that to the bottom of the igloo. I also added it to the bottom of my card. And then for the sky, I am going to do a pink, purple, blue, teal. It is different, but I gotta tell you, I think we'll see it again because I am a pretty big fan of the way that it came out. You guys will have to let me know what you think. So what have we been going on? I feel like, and I think I've said this before in other videos, like from Halloween on, because we go Halloween, my daughter's birthday, my mother-in-law's birthday, Thanksgiving, and then into the Christmas shopping, celebrating Christmas, New Year's. Like I feel like once we hit Halloween, it's just go, 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 go until January. So it's been a little bit hectic. Plus, as you guys know, if you've been coming to the channel, my kids were involved in a lot more this year. Peanut was doing his, band for school, and then he was taking guitar lessons. Jelly Bean is doing swim, and she's also doing dance. So they've been involved a lot more. Let's go back to the card real quick. So when we are trying to get a smooth ink blend, normally my go-to is lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest. I blend it twice, and that is what makes everything work really well together. That can be very challenging to achieve when you're trying to go in a color gradient. Like if you are trying to mix different colors like we are here, it can be very difficult to get a bold color with a good blend. You still have to do it twice. But what I find that works for me the best is typically I like to I put down whatever my color is, so like the peacock feathers, and then or whatever it was, salvage patina, and then I'll move to the salty ocean. Before I move from the salty ocean to the shaded lilac, I go back over the blue and where it meets the teal with the previous color. So here I'm putting down the shaded lilac, getting it to blend very nicely with that salty ocean. But before I move on to the pink, I am going to go back over with the salty ocean with my blender brush. Sometimes you need to pick up more ink, sometimes you don't. Like I had enough ink on my blender brush that going back over it with just that was fine. And then the same thing with the pink, I'm going to go over, take the shaded lilac and go over top of that. So hopefully that helps you to get like a good multicolor blend, so that everything is really kind of smooth and nice. You don't have to just use the same colors. I have done videos before where we talked about like getting a good solid blend when we're using the same color families, which does involve still using several colors. It's just all the colors are in the same family. We got to mix it up just a little bit to do multiple color families being blended into each other, but doing the blending, adding the ink more than once really is where it's at, no matter how we're ink blending. So for the igloo is white, but the white is going to reflect the light in the sky. And so that's what I am doing. I'm going back in and I'm just kind of randomly adding the same colors in the sky to my igloo. I already have the shaded lilac on the bottom, so I'm going to be adding in those teals, those blues. If I want it to be a little bit softer, instead of the peacock feathers, I can use the salvage patina, or instead of the picked raspberry, you can use the kitsch flamingo. What's the lighter version of salty ocean? Probably tumbled glass, and shaded lilac is the lighter version of a blue violet. So that one, I think there isn't a lighter version of that. But anywho, now that we're done with that, we're going to move on to the stamping. So I stamped them down in black, these cute little penguins. And I am going to color them. And again, I'm going to use the same colors I've already put down. So that way everything works really nicely together and they're not competing. So the colors that I am using on my penguins are going to be a little bit brighter. Like the pinks are going to be a little bit brighter, the teals, things like that, but they're all going to be within that same kind of color family. So we have the really soft igloo, the kind of medium in the sky, and then the brighter version on the penguins, so that your eye is drawn to them. This little penguin family. I watched this thing. Do we all just watch reels now? Like all the time? Reels and YouTube shorts and stuff like that. My husband and I send them to each other. And there was one, it's a British show. Graham Norton, maybe? I don't know, because I don't watch the British show. Oh, here I'm just showing you how I pick the colors. Like I looked at the background and then I picked the coordinating colors. For the penguins, they do have like the little orange feet and the nose. So I chose oranges that were on par with the other colors I was going to be using, which is a bit more pastel. Because I didn't want that bright orange and then all of these other like icy pastel-y colors in the background. Anyway, so they were interviewing a bunch of people, and on that show, there's always like 4 or 5 people that they interview, and they all interact with each other, and it's very entertaining. But I think it was Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, was who they were interviewing. I'm not on the up and up on who people are. But anyway, he had said that like several people had wrote in and asked him to say the word penguin. And he started laughing and he was like, I did a documentary and I mispronounced the word and now I'm basically terrified of it. So I saw that, and then they play the bit from the documentary. Back to the card. So here, you can do these these like a couple of different ways. The one on the left is kind of making it fuzzy all over. The one on the right, like where I just added the dots to the outside edges, like where they're kind of pushed in, you can leave it that way as well, and that would be a smoother look. I like the dots, the stippling, because to me it makes them look extra fluffy and like they're super textured, like a little pom-pom, and I love that. So anyway, so they played the documentary, and in the documentary, he was like, these whatever North American penwings. I think he said penwings. And he has an accent, which I don't have, which makes it sound that much more hilarious. So then he just keeps talking about, the documentary is about penguins, and he just keeps calling them penwings. And it was hysterical. So now when I'm speaking... when I'm speaking to you guys and I go to say the word penguin, I want to say the word penwings because I just watched that and it was very funny. So anyway, whether you call them penwings or penguins, we're coloring them and they're very adorable. So I'm trying to keep a good mix of the colors. So like I'm doing a little bit of teal on each one. I'm trying to do a little bit of pink on each one. Now the little guy only has room pretty much for 2 colors. So I just made sure that I paired the penguin that he's with, the parent penguin. I can't stop it. I can't stop myself. The parent penguin, I made them teal and pink. So that way all of the colors were represented. There was still a good amount of teal in there, but they all worked together. And then coloring the hats, I did them pretty much the same, just kind of, because they're kind of like drawn where they're like flopped over, which we love. That's adorable. But I just added a little line of shadow to kind of stretch that out into the hat to give it just a little bit more shape. And then I left its highlight on the part that would be like the top of what would be flopped over. Okay, so here I'm just checking and seeing how the colors are going, because we could have gone blue. The blue is also in the sky, but I thought the pink would be super cute, so that is what I went with. No regrets. I like the way it turned out. Anyway, my kids have been doing a lot more, and we've been just kind of shuffling them around like crazy, and then there's things to get, and there's shows and everything else. So I've been telling you guys that Jelly Bean had her first recital coming up, and so it was on Sunday, and her first, the snow time showtime was just for the littles. So it's like from their groups, I think it starts at age 2, on through the oldest kids are like the 6 to 8. So she's right in the middle. And I was pretty terrified because they, have not been on stage before. And her dance teacher was like, listen, if they make it through standing on stage the whole time, they aren't screaming and they don't run off, like that's a win. If they smile, like praise the Lord, hallelujah, like just be glad for that. And so that was what I was prepared for. I was very nervous because when we got there, like I had to take her and check her in. And then like they stay there with their teachers and the assistant teachers until it's their turn to go on stage, which means that she wasn't going to be with me and she wasn't going to be with my husband. Side note, back to the card. Okay, so here I waited until everything else was colored before I brought in the black for the penguins, because you don't want any of those pastel colors to pick up the darkness and carry that through. So you want to make sure all of your light coloring is done before we're bringing in that black. And then I added the shadows underneath his hat, underneath their bellies, underneath their wings. Are they wings? Are they pen wings? Or are they flippers? I feel like we had this conversation and somebody Googled it, and for some reason I think it had something to do with them not flying. So penguins have wings that evolved into flippers, which are used for swimming underwater rather than flying in the air. So we do call them flippers. We do not call them wings. So he was really out there in left field calling them pen wings, huh? All right, so flippers. So anyway, I added shadows underneath their flippers. And then if they had a scarf on, under the scarf, you guys get what I'm saying. And then I worked out to my lightest color, which was a C5. Now, the reason that we need those light colors is see how this little penguin is butted right up against its parent penguin? In order for that flipper to be visible, we have to have our highlight color be up against the dark shadow if that flipper is going to look like it's in the front. So the shadow is on the parent body, the lightest color, the highlight, is on the top of the baby penguin's flipper to create that separation and allow them to look like two separate entities. Okay. So anyway, we weren't going to be able to be there with her, and they wanted one parent to check in and one parent to check out, which totally makes sense because it's chaos, right? So we get there, we're walking her back because we had to be there like a half an hour early. I'm walking her back to where she goes, and they have like a little picture thing set up. And I was like, "Do you want to take your picture?" And she was like, "No, I'll take it after." And they had like a little balloon arch, and it was really adorable. And I didn't think about it at the time because we were supposed to turn in the part of the costume that they gave us, which in our case was her Minnie Mouse ears and a tutu, which I didn't think about it because I was like, oh, that, like, I would have made her take the picture so that way I would have ensured I had one. I only took one at the house before we left. So anyway, so we get back there and you can tell they've absolutely done this before because the kids are sitting at the table. They have pictures for them to color, crayons, everything else. They have little name tags. So I get her situated and I'm like, "Are you good?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine." I'm like, "Okay, I'm not fine. I'll just see myself out then." My baby. So I did go out. Now, the tickets for this went on sale at 11 a.m. That's what they told us. They on sale at 11 a.m. I had sent out a text message to our family and friends, "Hey, if you want us to grab your tickets, just let us know." And then you can Venmo or PayPal or Zelle or whatever the money. Back to the card. So here I am marking where the windows go so that way I know where to add the shadows to give it a little bit of shape. This, I did probably get a little heavy-handed. I probably could have gotten away with using a C3 instead of a C5 on the outside. But I didn't, and decisions were made. Ultimately, I'm not super mad about it. I think it's still very cute. I just think going forward, I would know not to shade with the C5. I would just shade this top layer here with a C3 and a C1. So the tickets went on sale at 11. I sent out the text message, "Hey, if you want us to get your, tickets or whatever," and this was a couple of days before, so I knew how many tickets that I had to buy. I was in there at 11:30, okay, a half an hour, and there were almost no seats left. I was shocked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't they tell us? Why didn't they tell us that these sell out so quickly?" So all of my family and my husband's family, our family, all of our family was in the mezzanine, which looks on the map like it is so far back. So far in the back of the theater that they're going to need binoculars to even see. Then they also had the balcony. I managed to snag 2 seats on the floor next to each other, in the middle, totally random, for myself and Eric. And then I was like, everybody else is just going to have to sit in the mezzanine, but I don't want her to look out into the crowd and not see anybody that she knows. So that is why I got the extra, those two seats down there. So when we get there, I get her checked in, everything else, I go back. I have screenshotted or emailed everybody their tickets. Eric's mom could not find her tickets. I think I sent it to a different email than she expected, so I ended up screenshotting them and sending them to her. Not that it was a big deal. We were standing there together. And so my Peanut, my dad, and my sister had already gone in to find theirs before I even came back out. Well, unfortunately, because I had said to my son, like, hey, like, you guys are in the like the back, up on the top. He thought I meant the balcony. So they went up to the balcony to find their seats, and it was still in the same room. It was just up like 3 stairs. So come to find out that the depiction of the picture map, like the layout, was very, very misleading. The mezzanine was in the back of the theater, but the theater's not that big. So it was not even really a thing. Everybody could see. I was glad to be up close because Jelly Bean could see us when she came out. And she did do part of her dance routine. Like, they had the teacher down in the front, like below the stage. And so they were kind of like guiding them through their dance. And she did really great. She just pretty much waved the whole time, though. She just waved. God love her. Just waved at us the whole time. Okay, let's go back to what we're doing here. So I really liked the white trees against that colored sky, but I didn't want to just leave them plain white. So what are we going to do? We're going to add glitter. Of course we are. So I used the grit paste, distress grit paste from Ranger in the Snowfall, which is really like thick and chunky, and then I dipped them in or poured over some rock candy glitter, which is just like a nice white glitter, and that went right over top of that. So they do have lots of texture, even though it's white on white. Plus, the original dies also have like a stitch detail that's in there. So these were great. Just, scooped it on there, added on with my little palette knife, and then added the glitters. I knew I wasn't going to see any of the bottoms because it was going to be behind the igloo, so I really just concentrated on doing on the top. Then we're going to cut out our penguins our penguins with the coordinating dies, and then we're going to get ready to put it all together to build out our scene. So when she came out, she saw us right away. She was waving quite a bit, and then the song started. The song was obviously a very short one. Like, we're talking about little kids; they don't have a very large attention span. So they did their dance. She waved in the middle. She did do some of the moves, like the little shaking and the little drums, and it was so darling. And I was really, really proud of her. Like, I was afraid that she was going to get out there and she was going to be scared and not know what to do with herself, but she did excellent. So proud of her. So then obviously she wasn't the show was an hour long, so there were kids that went on before her and kids that went on after her. And so at the end for the finale, like, they bring out all of the kids and they're like shooting like the snow. So they do the little snow, and then they come out and they're all holding hands and they take their bow, and then, they close the curtain, and it was, she just waved through that whole thing too. So she did such a good job. So then after the show is over, I went to go pick her up, and this is when it dawns on me, like, oh man, I only got that one picture at home, and now I've got to give up her costume because the paperwork said, that we bring a change of clothes, you're gonna have to turn in your costume. And so then when I went back there to pick her up, actually her assistant teacher was like, no, just bring it with you to class. That's fine. So thankfully we did get to go over and take her picture. I was never in shows. My husband was. So he was like, man, he's like, I thought about it this morning. Like, I should have got her flowers because that's what you do. And he was like, I will not make that mistake a second time. But fortunately, we have fantastic family and friends that came through. And my niece, Kira, got her flowers. And then my best friend from high school, And my goddaughter also came to see her show, and they brought her flowers. So she did get her flowers. We will definitely make sure we're on top of that for the next one, which is in June. Eric said before the show started, like, this is going to be the true testament. Like, either she's going to do this and then we're done with dance, or we're going to do this and we're dance forever. And I can tell you from her reaction and her little poses and stuff in her photos that we're probably dance forever. We're dance forever, or at least quite a bit longer than what we are right now. And then she had another kind of like breakthrough moment, because if you remember, back when this first started, because we had a different teacher, we had a summer teacher that was Miss Jenna, and now we have Miss Marissa. She gave me a really, really hard time about going in with a new teacher. And then so Tuesday when we went, our normal teacher was sick and we had a sub, and she went in there, no problem, did her dance, participated. So she's really making leaps and bounds. I'm very, very proud of her. It was good. It was good. So here we're putting this together. We've put a shadow underneath where the igloo is going to go and where our penguins are. We've also glued those together so that they're one piece and much easier to place. I'm going to put the trees into the background. Now, even if you're not like a person who likes coloring or whatever, you could do like this really pretty sky color with these white trees. And I think that would be a pretty card all on its own, quite honestly. I just think they're so pretty. I do have plans because I used the winter trees in another card, and we talked about in this live, like doing something where it was really more about like the different ways you can add snow. So that is in my back pocket to do a video for that. Here I'm just kind of messing around with the different heights of the trees. And then, so like busy scheduled, right? So then this weekend, Peanut has a band. He has a band concert for trombone. So we'll be doing that this weekend. This past weekend after her recital, we came home and put up the Christmas tree. We did not put up all the things. We just put up the tree. We didn't do stockings and all that because there just wasn't enough time. So we are due to still do that maybe one night after dinner or something, which takes a little bit less time. I wanted the sentiment to stand out a little bit more, so I did use that water-based black marker to just go around the edges so it doesn't look like a white edge. It looks like a finished black edge, and that's just going to help it kind of stand out from the igloo a little bit. And it says, "You're so much fun." How cute is that? Oh, sorry about that. I talk with my hands and I just smacked my desk with my ring. Anyway, so now I've put the foam tape on the back there, and we're going to go ahead and put that down. And then we're going to add all of the snow and glitters and shimmers to the scene. So this is just clear shimmer, just a clear shimmer pen. I am adding that kind of all over. Be careful about adding this to any of the areas where you put where you put the distress ink, because they can move it. I'm adding white gel pen accents. I'm doing the fuzzy ear warmers, and the trick to that is you got to go over the black line in order for it to look fuzzy. I added some polka dots to the scarf, some highlights to the other areas. We have the glitter in the trees, but then I'm going to add even more glitter with this Stardust Stickles. I'm going to add that all on the top layer of the igloo, so that way it has all of this sparkle. You could also probably just cut that layer out of glitter cardstock, but I don't know how well it would take the ink blending. So if you just wanted that to be like a white glitter layer, that would be fine. You could probably just cut it out of glitter paper, and then maybe see how it takes to the ink blending. I'm not 100% sure how it would do. I haven't tried it. So there you can see that we have all of that. Then I decided that I wanted it to look like it was snowing. So here's the difference between I want it to snow and I want it to look like stars in the sky. When you do stars in the sky, you only add the glitter and the white gel pen to the background. If you want it to look like it's actually snowing, then you have to add the glitter and the white gel pen all over everything, including the igloo, including the images that you colored, because if the snow was falling, it would be falling on them as well. Alternatively, if you don't want something that is super uniform, like how we could be with the white gel pen where we're consistently making the little dots, you can use white acrylic paint or an acrylic spray. With the white acrylic paint, you would add a little bit of water to make it where it's a little bit easier to spatter. With the white acrylic spray, that one already has water in it, so you don't need any more water. What you see me doing there is actually just getting my paintbrush wet. And then if you wanted to if you were worried about it being too messy, you could keep your stamped images clean and your sentiment clean by just laying the stamps over top of it, and it will protect those areas. Bigger spatters, if you dip into your paint and go directly to your project, bigger spatters. If you want smaller, more controlled spatters, dip into your paint and then kind of spatter it off to the side and then bring it to your project. And then that's it. That is the whole card. You can see how beautiful glittery this thing is. I love the way that it came out. I hope that you guys do too. I hope that you can see all the different ways that you can kind of do your ink blending with different colors and that make that work for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.